Hey guys, so I was looking for another Pantsery article and stumbled upon this one. Pantser, Plotter, and Planter, the three dominant types of writers. So this is the first article looking up about pantsing and writing advice and stuff like that I've actually seen someone say Planter, because I have previously had to explain it. So I'm just gonna breeze through this beginning part. Two, what is a pantser? And they say flies by the seat of their pants, meaning they don't plan out anything in their story and very little. So that is true, yes. And freedom is important. Saying the same thing as other articles. What is this book cover over here? It's so pretty. This pretty book cover over here. They don't need or want a detailed scene by scene outline. In fact, the writing style for a first draft or senior book. Senior book? What's a senior book? It's partly about discovering the story as they write it. They get lost. They like to get lost. They like to let their main characters and imagination lead them to a surprising finished product. And then a plotter is someone who plans their novel, outlining their novel before writing. Extremely important. Essential to the writing process. It keeps the story structure intact. Plotters value knowing what's going to happen in their story before writing it. They want clarity. A plan gives them energy and intention. It saves them a lot of time when they do write their book and also when they revise. Okay, what's a planter? So the author of this article is saying that they are a planter. Do a little bit of both. A planter could be someone who before writing writes a synopsis and comes up with the important details that drive their story ideas. They could be the kind of writer that enjoys planning the subplots, character sketches, character arcs, but during the writing of the novel goes rogue for some chunks of the story. They like a taste of writing on the seat of their pants, but not all of it. And then the author talks about their strategy. This is not what I want to get into. Okay. That was like my intro. Pantser, pros and cons. The pros. The pantsers have the freedom to take their novel in any direction they want. They love the blank page. No, we do not. We do not. Nobody, no writer has ever, I don't think any writers like the blank page. If you love the blank page, you are weird. But anyway, you do you. Tell me why you love the blank page if you do love the blank page. I do not. That's why I try so very hard not to have a blank page. I have some little notes after it, after whatever. The thrive on the thrill of the ideas that come as they type. They also have flexibility. They're not stuck following an outline. So if they don't like a character, they can simply kill him. If they don't like the way their plot is going, they can change it. If I don't like a character, I don't know, I just don't write him. I don't put him so deep into the plot that I have to actually use the plot to execute him, but I just don't include them in the story anymore. And if I like the name, I use the name elsewhere, recycle them. The cons, however, having no plan or very little plan makes it easier to get stuck. I try not. I do things so that I don't get stuck, okay? And if they get stuck, they have to come up with a way to dig themselves out of writer's block rather than following an outline that leads them in the right direction. When this happens, pantsers often abandon old projects for new ones, leaving multiple unfinished novels in their wake. You know, I feel like multiple unfinished novels isn't just a pantser thing. I feel like people who are planners also have multiple unfinished novels. I mean, I think it's a little bit unfair to say that pantsers have multiple unfinished novels as if planners don't have that. But anyway. They have to come up with ways to dig themselves out of writer's block. As if to say planners don't have writer's block. I think all writers at some point in their lives suffer from big bouts of writer's block. And maybe that's because the story they're working on doesn't interest them anymore, or because they are suffering from imposter syndrome, or because, I don't know, they've plotted themselves or written themselves into a corner and they don't feel like they want to continue. Or they're just feeling creative burnout. I mean, you can get writer's block for so many different reasons. It's not just because that you're a pantser, so that's a weird thing for you to say. Why? The pantsing approach, writing with no direction, likely means there will be lots of rewriting since these types of writers usually take a vague idea and run with it. Yes, we do that, but I don't know if it has a lot of rewriting. I mean, there is only one novel that I'm actually having to, rewrite, and this is because this novel wasn't very well structured. Not structured, it was well structured, I think, but it was just not the story I wanted to tell, and I hadn't figured that out at the first time that I was writing it. And so after getting developmental editing, then I realized, you know what, I don't know if this is the story I want to tell with this character. What exactly do I want to tell here? So I had to figure that out, and that's why I'm rewriting it. But anyway, then it's not because I'm a pantser, I don't think. Like, I probably would have, if I was a plotter, I probably would have plotted in the same way that I pantsed the story the first time. It would be the exact same plot, and I still might want to rewrite it. So, I don't know. While fun in the moment, this can lead to lots of plot holes, which means rewriting a lot of it is almost guaranteed. I don't think so. I mean, there's only one story of mine, and then I have a bunch of stories that I don't feel will need any rewriting. I mean, I like the way it is, and it makes sense and everything. I just, a little bit of plot holes here and there, but not a lot of rewriting. Pantsers will have to eventually look at plot structure and outlines. They just do it after the first draft is done. That can be overwhelming. I think of it as like having a bunch of puzzle pieces out on the table and I'm putting it together. So it's actually not overwhelming. It's just part of the process for me. So maybe if it's your first time, it might feel overwhelming, but think of it like as a puzzle, and you have all these pieces. You poured out all the pieces of the puzzle onto the table, and you're just now figuring out how to put it together. That's what happens. So think of it like that, and to see how you feel. In novel writing, too much editing can lead to burnout, and I'm not sure why I started sounding like a cat. And manuscript abandonment. The rewriting, although inevitable for every type of writer, is especially steep for a pantser. Not sure why you are saying it like that. I think it's not just like it's steep for a pantser particularly, but that it's steep for, like, if you're a new writer, it's going to be steep anyway. So it doesn't matter if you're a pantser or a plotter or a pantser. So, too much editing can lead to burnout and manuscript abandonment. I don't know why you were saying this and what evidence you were basing it off of as. Is this your personal experience? Because just because you're a pantser and you're editing a lot, I mean, I think plotters edit a lot too, don't they? Just because they have an outline doesn't mean it's their savior or something. It doesn't mean an outline isn't like the golden ticket to ultimate first draft success, right? So you're still going to have to do a lot of editing, I would think, anyway. So that's what they say about pantser pros and cons. And I'm like, I don't know about like it's specific to pantsers, or are you just talking about newbie writers in general? Okay, so why is there so much written for pros and cons of pantsers and so little for plotters? Like, what is that? Like, why? Anyway, okay. Plotters are superior somehow? I don't know. But look at how much they have written for pantser. Look at all this. All this. It's all this. And some more down there. All of that. All that. All of that. Plotter pros and cons. Pros. Plotters, having planned out their novel ahead of time, know what's going to happen before they write it. This makes it easier to bust writer's block. It's harder to get stuck when you know what's going to happen next. Plotters also tend to get their novels written faster, or at least more smoothly. Huh. That's interesting, because I just read a... I guess not. So I read an article that said pantsers get started faster, but I guess plotters get the novel written faster. But I don't know if that has anything to do with being a plotter or a pantser. Writing your novel fast has nothing to do with that. It has to do with like your skill level, or like, you know, how much experience you have in writing, or if you're a newbie writer or what. Isn't that what fast writing, I mean, how fast can you type, you know? How fast can you transform your ideas into words and then into your typey fingers? That's what makes your novel writing faster. You don't have plotter or pantser. What do you think? What do you guys think? Cons. Plotters are confined to their plans, meaning if they do get stuck or want to change something, they often have to redo their whole outline. And I can tell you from experience, redoing an entire outline is not fun. So that's what the author is saying. Well, that sucks for you. Redoing an entire outline is not fun. And that is the con of the plotter. Oh, really? There isn't anything else? There is nothing else? That is the only con? The only two cons are that you're confined to your plans, and you might have to redo your entire outline. I would say another con, some plotter talked about this before, like they start plotting and they start thinking about the lore and everything, and then they just can't stop just world building. Like if you're writing a fantasy novel, just start world building, and you can like world build forever, thinking about all the aspects of the world. And then you get stuck just doing that because you're plotting the story and you need to figure out all the aspects of the world in order to create this completed world. And then you just get stuck for years and years and years. Instead of being a pantser and you just start writing and you just fill in the holes during editing. So you already have like a first draft done, and the plotter over there is still plotting and figuring out the lore. So that could be a con, right? Plotters, right? What do you think? I've seen some people with outlines that look like the outline itself could already be a book, even though it's bullet points. It's so extensive, so you could be stuck outlining for eternity, just trying to make everything work, everything tying together, all the stuff and little things and the details, and then it just stuck there. I've heard of people talking about like, oh yeah, there was this one person on Discord that said they have this outline, this really great outline that they're so proud of, but now they're afraid to start writing it because they feel like that they feel afraid, they feel like they might ruin it. So having that fear of like ruining something they feel is so complete, that could be a con of plotting. I mean, there's so many that I can think of, and I'm a pantser. If I can think of all of these, surely you can think of some of those you could have thought of written. You could have put those in here, so and stuff. Expanded the plotter section. Why is the pantser section, why is the pantser section so cons? There's so much con in the pantser. Why? Come on. There are more cons. I just talked about them. There are more cons. Add those. Add the things that I just talked about. Okay? If you're a plotter and you're listening to this, okay, right now, tell me if some of the cons, like I've mentioned some, the article mentioned some. Tell me some if there's some that aren't mentioned that I don't know about, or the article didn't mention. Tell me some if there are others. Okay, just tell me some if there are others. So, and then they go on and all this, and the rest of this article is so long because of all the comments, and the person who wrote the article keeps responding, which I guess is good. So this was first written, looks like it was first written in 2014. See, because this was the first comment. May 15, 2014 was the first comment. So I'm guessing it's written then. It doesn't say when it was written, but that is when I would guess that it was written, 2014. So it's been 10 years. It's been 10 years. So you can edit this article, definitely. If you want to help people. Add those other cons that I mentioned. And there are probably others. So anyway, that's all I wanted to react to this article. Because I read another article talking about the pros and cons of plotter versus pantser. And so when I found this other one, I thought, that's interesting. They're not talking, they didn't mention the pros and cons of a pantser, which I think is interesting. I feel like there would be pros and cons to planters too. So if you are a planter, tell me what kinds of pros and cons have you come up against. The cons that you've come up against and the pros that you have discovered. The delightful pros. Okay, so let me know in the comments down below. And so that was the article, pantser, plotter, and planter, the 3 dominant types of writers. And that is it. That is the end of this video. I hope you have a lovely day. And the secret word for this video is magic, because the author is called the Magic Violinist. I guess they are a violinist. And that is it for the video. I hope you have a lovely day. And that's it. Subscribe, comment, share with your friends. And the fox is out.